Hi, this is Karthik from Design School by WP Algorithm. I'm a web developer and a WordPress creator. I make WordPress and Elementor tutorials for beginners. So if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on any new updates. And in this video, we'll talk about advanced custom fields in WordPress and how you can integrate advanced custom fields without writing any code using Elementor Pro. You do need the Pro version of Elementor if you just want to pull up advanced custom fields with a click of a button. It's quite simple. If you don't have Elementor Pro, you can get it from the link in the description. And the name advanced custom fields, well, it might scare you a bit, but they're actually quite easy to use, quite easy to deploy on your websites. And in addition to using those advanced custom fields in your Elementor designs, you can even use advanced custom fields in plugins such as Dynamic Content plugin, which is one of the most powerful plugins for Elementor, Jet Engine, and even Unlimited Elements. So basically, you can create any kinds of content, any kinds of widgets, and any kinds of fields using these advanced custom fields. So what are these advanced custom fields in WordPress, and how can you use them in your WordPress websites? So let's start with custom fields. First, what are fields, right? So you just click on add new. Whenever you're clicking on add new for a post, a page, or even a custom post type, you find fields to enter the data, right? So these are the fields defined by WordPress. So the title is the title field, name of the post. Similarly, you have few other fields such as categories and stuff like that. While these are great, what if you want to display additional data? What if you want to display a gallery of images in your post? Or what if you want to display maybe related posts in your post, all dynamically while composing the post? Well, this is where custom fields come in. So custom fields are the fields that are not provided by WordPress. These are defined by a third-party plugin, and the name of the plugin is also called Advanced Custom Fields. So click on Plugins, Add New. I'll just click on Leave, and in WordPress repository you have to download Advanced Custom Fields. You can search for Advanced Custom Fields ACF, or you can simply click on Popular. It's so popular that over 1 million installs are already active for this plugin. So you can scroll down and here you see the Advanced Custom Fields plugin. It's this one by Elliot Condon. Just install and activate this plugin, and once you install and activate the plugin, you get a separate dashboard entry called custom fields. You just click on that, it takes you to the field groups. Now I have a field group, I'll delete this, so I'll start fresh. So field group will have all the groups of fields, so you can create different field groups to show them on different post types. Let's create our first field group and also few fields within that. So I'll call it my post group, and once you create the name of the field group, you have an option to add field. This is just a blank group that will host all the fields related to it. So you just click on add field, and here you enter a label for your field. So this will be shown while you're composing the post. I'll show you what that means. So let's say I want the name of a field. So I just want a text field. I'll say name, and you choose text from here. You can add few instructions for authors while composing the post. These instructions will be shown there. You can also make it required, and you can add a default value. You can also show him a placeholder text. You can append or prepend something. You can also add a character limit. So let's say add a character limit of 20. I'll prepend maybe first name. I'll prepend this to the character added, and I have a character limit of 20. And you can simply click on close field, and you've already added the first field. It won't be active yet. Similarly, you'll add another field. Let's say we want a number field. I'll click on number, and I'll click on field type. I'll change this from text to number. Now again, the same options are present for this. You can also specify a minimum value. I'll say 1. You can also specify a step size. I'll leave that blank. So steps are these. When you have these arrows pointing up, I'll close this field. And once you add all the fields that you require under this group, now you have an option to pick the location. So where you want to show these fields while actually creating the post itself. So here you'll have an option to choose from post type or post template, post category. You can assign it to anything. But first, let's start with post type. I'll say I just want to assign it to a post type, and the post type is the default post type defined by WordPress, which is a post. You can also assign it to page post type, and when you're creating a new page, this field group will be shown there. Similarly, if you assign it to any other template custom post type, this field group will be shown there. I'll just choose post for now. You can also add multiple conditions anyway, and once you choose the condition where this field should appear, which is under posts, when you create a new post, you'll have options to activate or deactivate the fields. Choose the style, position if you want after title or after content, side in your sidebar where you get your standard Gutenberg options. You can also pick that. I'll pick normal for now, and I'll leave all these as is, and I'll just hit publish. So our first field group is active. Now we can test that. So you can click on add new for post, since we added these to a post type. And whenever you're adding a new post, now you can scroll down and you can see the particular field group name and the first name and also the last name, and you can see the prepend value shows up here. So it's basically asking me to enter my first name, so I can simply say Karthik here, and I can enter a number. Now if I try to enter anything other than number, so if I try to type alphabets in it, it won't take that input, because we just defined that this field should be a number, so it will only take number input. Also, to this field we specified a character limit, so it won't go beyond those characters. So even if I try to type more than 20 characters, it won't accept it, because we've set those conditions in the field group under that particular field. So that's really neat. So that's how you add custom fields, and once you hit publish, all these fields will be saved along with your regular post. So I'll say ACF post, and this is some data. Let's enter. This is my first, and let's click on document. You can pick a category like any other post. We're basically appending it to our existing post type. So everything else is normal except this. You just get to choose few more values. Now I'll change this back to Karthik. I'll change the number to 23, right? And I'll hit publish, and those fields will be saved along with that post. It's that simple, adding a field group to a particular post type. Now we've just saved the field group, but we didn't specify how the field group should be applied to the post. So if I try to view my post, I won't be able to view the custom fields, because we didn't specify how the field group should look like or any other dynamic way to get these custom fields. This is where Elementor Pro kicks in. I'll explain about that in a bit. Now let's explore other field groups. So I'll go to custom fields again, click on field group, I'll click on edit, and you can see basically the field group can have all the options that a post has, because the field group or a way to enter this field group is also a custom post. Anyway, don't be confused about that. You don't have to worry about that. We've added name and number. Let's add an email field. So I'll say email, that will be pre-filled in the name, and from here I can pick email. You can show some instructions, prepend a value. I can also use conditional logic, which we'll get to in a bit. And other than email, let's see what are the post types that we have. So these are the typical fields that you can pick. And now, apart from the standard fields, you can also pick files from your database. So for instance, you can pick an image or you can pick a file. I'll choose a file. So I'll call it attachment, and that will be pre-filled here. You can also specify a minimum file size and a maximum file size. You can also specify allowed files. So PDF, .png are the only files that he can pick, and it will validate, and if the user is trying to pick any other field, it won't let him do that. So I just said .pdf and .png are the only files that he can pick. I can simply click on edit, and that will be minimized. I'll click on update. Let's go back to our posts. I'll click on ACF post, which is the post that we just created. If I click on edit, and you need to click on edit because these fields are being entered from the Gutenberg interface. We're basically showing them on Gutenberg interface. Gutenberg is a way to enter data, and Elementor is a way to design stuff. I'll get to that in a bit. So scroll down again under my group. You now see those two fields are already saved from our previous addition. Now you have two new fields. So I can enter an email field. I can also attach a file, and you can see it won't let me pick these files because it shows that the file type must be PDF or PNG. So I can only pick these files which are either PNGs or PDFs. Since I don't have any PDF on this site, I can only pick PDF or PNG. I'll just click choose image, and I just chose my image. I'll click on update. Again, these fields will be saved with the post. So they will be saved into your database, and you can pull them using Elementor Pro. Now I told you that these custom fields are saved with this particular post, and all the other posts obviously won't have it because we haven't entered data, we haven't edited them, and we haven't filled the data. Since this post has all those fields, I'll simply click on edit with Elementor. So it will take me to Elementor interface along with the content that I already entered in the Gutenberg interface. Again, remember, Gutenberg is a way to enter your content, and the content will also be shown. So if you click on this, you can see it actually is saved as a text editor or a text block. Now what if I want to pull in my custom fields? Now you can drag in any widget. So let's say I just want maybe one of the custom fields as the heading. I just drag in the heading widget, and you see there's a tag called dynamic tags. Click on that, scroll down till you find something called ACF field. Click on that, click on ACF field again because you chose ACF field but you didn't specify which field it can pick. I'll choose key, and I'll just pick name. Now it will show the name of the value of the field that I picked from here. If I want email, if I pick number, it will show the number field that I entered. If I pick on email, it will show me the email that I entered. Well, the type of the field that you can pick for every widget. Now the type of the widget that can pull custom fields depends on the widget itself. Obviously you cannot pick, or you cannot expect an image widget to pull in an email field, right? It doesn't make any sense and it's not compatible. But anything with a text can pull in a compatible text field or anything that contains text. So if I have text editor, again this has dynamic tag, click on that, scroll down, click on ACF field, click on that again, and you can see I can pick all these. But since number is basically text, it's compatible with my text editor widget, and if I click on that, it will pull in that data for me. It doesn't matter. Same thing with name, and same thing with email. Even though it's a kind of formatted data, internally it's still text, and that's compatible with my text editor widget, and that's why it's able to pull it. Now I've edited the file, clicked on edit, and I changed it to favorite image, and I changed the field type to image, and you can pick various options. You can basically limit the library choice. I'll just choose all. You can choose conditional logic for it, and also here you can choose allowed file types. By default WordPress doesn't allow SVG files, so that's another thing. Anyway, we have favorite image. I'll update this field. I'll keep this tab active. I'll keep the field group tab active, and also the Elementor interface active. Now what if I want to drag or show the image that I picked? Now we just added it to the post group, but we didn't pick any data for that particular post. I'll click on edit, so that will take me to the Gutenberg interface. Like I said, it's for entering my data, and you can see no image is selected. Click on image. I'll just choose this image, click on select, update. Now the image is saved with this post, and we can pull it dynamically using Elementor interface. I'll update this once, and I'll refresh this so that you can pull in newly added image field. And once the page reloads, since we uploaded an image, obviously the logical thing is to pick any widget that has image in it. So I'll pull in this image widget, or you can simply search for image, and anything that has an image widget can pull in this image field. So I'll just try to pull in the image. I'll click on dynamic tag, scroll down, and click on ACF image field. Click on ACF image field again, and now it lets me pick the image. If I pick fave image, it will show that image. You can format this the way you want, so you can maybe change the width of it, and maybe add CSS filters, add borders and stuff like that. so it doesn't matter. So the type of the field that Elementor fields can pull depends on the type of field added to the post. Now you don't have to necessarily edit every post and add it using Elementor. You can make a theme template using Elementor Pro and obviously upload this, and they will be automatically shown in that design. We'll get to that in a bit. Let's discuss few more fields. Now that you understood how Elementor Pro picks the fields, now I just want to upload a URL, or I just want to specify a link field. So I'll say link, click on link, and the field type I'll change it from text to URL, and this will allow only URLs. And I'll also make it required. So if the user tries to update the post without the link, it will throw up an error asking him to validate that. So I just made it required. I'll edit, and also I'll add a conditional logic to the link field. So I'll just show the link field only when the fav image is picked. So I'll add a conditional logic. So I'll say fav image has value, right? So if the favorite image is picked, only then I'll show him the link field. Let's see how that works. So I'll click on update. I'll click on this post. I'll update this. This is the Gutenberg screen that you get by clicking on edit. That will be updated. We'll also update the Elementor interface once. Click on my post group, scroll down. I removed the image, and you can see the link field disappears because I set a conditional logic to the link field only to show it when the fav image has a value. So now if I pick any image, it doesn't matter which image I pick. If I pick this image, I can also pick a link field. So let's add a link to this. We'll also use this in our post. I'll update this again. So this is how conditional logic works. So you can show a field or a group of fields based on others, and you can link them together. Now since this is updated, I need to refresh my Elementor interface, or I can simply click on edit with Elementor here. It doesn't matter. It's the same post in two different interfaces, just to show you how it works. Now that I've added that particular link field, I'll click on the image, and for this image I can add a link, right? So I'll click on link, I'll click on custom URL, and instead of entering a URL for this image, I'll click on dynamic tags. Again, scroll down. Like I said, in order to pick a ACF URL field, you have to enter a URL. Since we entered a URL, you can pull in that from here. I'll click ACF URL field, and when I click on this, I can pick link from here. So I just pick link. So now whenever user clicks on this link, he'll be taken to apple.com. Update. So if I click on view on this post, it will show how the post looks like. And when I click on this image, the link to that, we've set it to apple.com, and it's taken to apple.com. So we just chose an image, made it a conditional element, and the link to the image was this value that we entered here. So this is how you can use custom fields. Now those are some typical fields that you would find. Now the basic field and the content field are pretty straightforward, and relational fields, you can pick relational fields, but there's no real way to pull these fields using just Elementor Pro. You can do this with dynamic content plugin. Link to that plugin will be in the description. If you don't have it, maybe you can get it. We'll get to relational fields in a bit. Although you can pick it and actually display or pick the data using relational, there's no real way to show it using a compatible Elementor Pro widget. So for that, you need to use dynamic content plugin. Anyway, I'll get to that in a bit. And with the exception of relational fields, all other fields can be picked within Gutenberg interface, and they can be mapped using Elementor Pro. Now I'll get to the layout field first, and then we'll talk about the choice field and also the jQuery field. So the layout field is actually non-functional field. It's basically used to group or say something about group of fields. So this message usually adds a message about the fields or group of fields. So you can add a message like this, so something like that. So that's the message field. It doesn't really have any functionality advantage. Now you can simply refresh this, and once the page refreshes, you can click on my post group, and you see that message right there. So that's the first field of the layout field. The next layout field is accordion field. Well, Again, this doesn't really do anything, but it lets you organize your fields into groups of fields. So I'll just pick accordion from here. I'll say group 1, and all the fields below it are already by default a part of this group or this accordion. And you can obviously choose if you want to open this on page load, multi expand, if you want to open all the tabs within this accordion. And I'll just pick group 1 for now. So I'll click on edit. Now you can also move these fields around. So I'll just click and drag it above this fave image field, or let's actually drag it above email field. So all the groups below this group 1 will automatically be a part of this accordion unless and until we specify an endpoint, which I'll show you in a bit. So I'll update this. Once the field group is updated, I'll update this post in the Gutenberg interface again so that you can see that in action. Now I can only see name field, and then I see the group field. So if I click on that, the accordion opens up and it shows all the fields within that. What if I don't want all the fields to be present within this group 1? Well, simply I can create an endpoint. I'll just call it end1, and this time I just want to end the accordion. So I'll just click on accordion and I'll just choose endpoint. So this is another way of saying that my accordion ends with this field. So whatever is below this are separate fields or separate groups of fields. Now I'll pick this, I'll click on end, and I'll click and drag it. Let's say I just want to have email and fave image under this group 1 but not link. So I have to drag this endpoint above this, and you can see that the group 1 starts with email and fave image and ends here. So I'll click on update and we can simply refresh this. This is not any functional field, but it's actually a way to organize your fields into groups of fields. And you can see that if I click on group 1, the email and fave image fields open up. If I minimize that, I see other fields like any other normal field. And the same thing applies to the tabs field. Instead of organizing it in the form of an accordion, it'll organize it in the form of a tab. So I'll click this, I'll click on tab, and also the same thing with group. I'll update. Once this is updated, you can update this. This is more of organizing or presenting the fields to the user rather than having any functional advantage. And you can see this is a tab, and this tab just has these two fields, right? I can make another tab and I can make this link a part of that tab. I'll do that. So I'll duplicate this, I'll call it group 2, I'll call it a tab, I'll click this, I'll drag it right below this, I'll update. Now since I didn't specify an endpoint, both the link and message will be a part of group 2. We'll see how that looks like. I'll refresh the Gutenberg interface of this post again, and there's our group 1. Okay, click on group 2, it opens up the fields within group 2. So you can organize it in the form of a tab or in the form of accordions. You can also mix and match. So you can have groups of tabs and then accordions and then groups, right? Either way, you can simply organize your fields, and those are the structural fields. Now I'll remove all the structural fields. I'll also remove the endpoint. So once you open up any of the structural fields, you should also define an endpoint, else all the fields below it are by default a part of it. I've removed those structural ACF fields for now. Now let's get to other kinds of fields, which are these choice fields. So user can pick something and there can be a lot of values for it, and that's how this is used. So let's say I want a select field. You can also make this required by toggling this button on, and maybe I can say red, blue, yellow, and I can call this field color. So user can pick his maybe favorite color or whatever it is. You can also let him select, and you can also let him pick multiple values. You can allow null value. So even if the field is not picked, maybe you can submit that as a value. Well, technically you don't want to, because you want a value from it. And the return format, you can specify either value or label or array. So you can also add values over here, but we'll be happy with the choices. So let's say I picked multiple values here, and let's update the post. So I updated the post group and I updated this post, and I have colors. In order to pick multiple colors, he has to either hold command or control and click the options that he wants. So I just held on to my command key and picked red and yellow here. I'll just pick on update. So these two colors will be picked within these two fields. Now I can refresh the Elementor interface of the same post. You can also get to it by clicking on edit with Elementor. I just opened up another tab. Now let's drag in a text editor widget. I'll click on dynamic tags, click on ACF field. Since we picked multiple values will be displayed. So I just want color, and when I pick on color, you'll see it shows both the colors picked. It's that simple. And the other fields are similar, except they have some structural differences, but functionally they're the same. So even if you change it to checkbox field, you can enter values. I'll pick red, blue, and maybe green. The same thing, you can pick a value. You can choose the layout, vertical or horizontal, and the same thing. Let's update this. Let's also update the post once the group is updated. So now you can pick multiple checkboxes. It's just a little bit of a structural rearrangement, but internally it's effectively picking the values. So whichever you feel comfortable, you can let him pick in this way or maybe in that way. I'll update this again. If you refresh, nothing's gonna change because we picked the same values here. So we picked red and green here. So if I refresh the page, you'll find the same values. Since the field is essentially the same, it will get the values and display it in the same way. Similarly, you can do it for the other fields. Now let's get to the next kinds of field, which are these jQuery fields. Essentially, they let you pick something. They either let you pick a location or a date or a time or a color. Elementor added color support for dynamic ACF color fields in the latest Pro version. So you can maybe pick a color. So I'll say fave color, that will be pre-filled there, and you can also specify a default value for the color field. I'll update this field group, update this post which is opened in the Gutenberg interface. I'll pick a color, so maybe I'll say this color. I'll also update this Elementor interface of the same post. I'll click on the style of the section. I'll choose a classic background for this, and for color, instead of picking a color, I'll click on dynamic tags and I'll click on ACF color picker field. I'll click the color again. I need to click on the key, and the key here is the fave color. Wherever there's color in any of the widgets, so you can set it as a background color or maybe a text color, ACF color. So that's really handy. So that's jQuery. Similarly, you can pick date and time. They're pretty straightforward. And the next kind of field is this relational field. Well, this is where things get interesting. Now, before getting into how to show and map these relational fields, I want to show you, instead of manually clicking on each and every post and editing them, since you have Elementor Pro, you can actually design a layout for your single post. So that layout can pull all the custom fields for you. So whenever you make entries using Gutenberg interface, all of them will be displayed in the given layout. So let's go ahead and do. So I'll just keep this field group handy just in case to know which field to pick. I've removed all the structural fields and stuff like that. All I have are proper fields. Now I'll click on theme builder. Let's design a single post template. Since we're actually using these fields in our posts, let's actually design a template for our single post. So I'll click on single, I'll click on select post type, and I'll choose post. I'll say ACF post type. I'll click on create template. Now this opens up the editing screen where you can design a template for your single post. So basically, whenever you create a new post using Gutenberg, the design that you specify in this template will be applied, and the content is of course retrieved from the Gutenberg. So whatever title you enter there, whatever ACF fields you enter there, all that will be reflected in the Elementor interface or in your Elementor design. Now I'll insert this template. In addition to standard fields, you'll also add custom fields to your design. How do you add custom fields? Well, it's quite simple. You just drag in any widget and link it to the custom field like I showed you earlier. So now the first field I want is name. So I'll just create an inner section. I'll just drag an inner section into this, and I'll just make or give a minimum height to this inner section, not 400 pixels but 200 pixels. I'll add one more column to this section, and the background of the section will be the image, which is my fave image. So I'll just click on this inner section, click on classic background, click on dynamic tags. Actually, I have to click on image. I have to click on ACF image field, click on that again, and key will be fave image. So whatever favorite image I pick, that will become the background of this inner section, right? Now in this, I'll add our email field. So I'll just drag in a text widget or heading widget into this, and I'll obviously link the content using dynamic tags. Click on ACF field, click on that again so that I can pick the field. So let's start with name. I'll copy and paste it into each of the sections. I'll just change the key value. Let's also make this color stand out a bit. The same thing here, and I'll leave this at default, or we can just add an overlay to the background. You can also do that, totally do that. Now I'll change the position from vertical align to middle, the same to this, and the same to this field as well, so middle. So this is name, that's great. And even this field is set to ACF field name. I'll change that from name to email, and I'll change this from name to color. So whatever color he picks will be shown here, and that's great. Let's actually add a background overlay to this particular inner section so that we can clearly see the inner section, even if the background image or the image picked is a bit lighter in color. So I'll scroll down, click on background overlay, I'll click on classic, maybe add a blue tinge to it. We'll keep it that way. You can also reduce the transparency of this color a bit. So we picked name, email, fave image. You can also pick link, color, and all that stuff. Or let's actually link this color to the color from the ACF field. I'll click this field again, I'll pick fave color. So whatever color he picks will be the overlay of this background. Since we picked black for the post, it's showing me black overlay. If you pick any other color, it will show the overlay. So I'm actually taking the data from input field and formatting it in the way I want. Now you can totally format it in any way you want, right? You can put in any data, right? You can pull in any widget that supports dynamic tags and pull in the dynamic data. So you can drag in a button widget, and the link to the button or the link field can be you can click on the link, click on ACF URL field, and you can then pull in the link field, right, that we have in the field group, and you can basically let it do anything or specify an URL for this button. But anyway, this is my template, remember. So the dynamic content will come from the user. So all the post, all the content that he enters will be coming from him. I'll just remove this post widget. I'll right click and click on delete. You can also remove this inner section. Let's see how that looks like. I'll click on publish. Now it'll ask me where I want to apply this design. I want to apply it to all posts. I'll click on all posts. Now I can simply compose a new post, and this design will be applied to that post. Let's fill in all the data. So I'll call it, let's copy this. Okay, that's the content of the post. First name, I'll put that. I'll pick an image. Maybe I'll pick this one, and link, color, I'll pick these two, and the fave color, let's actually pick this color right here, and I'll click on document. I'll also pick a featured image, which is this. I'll set this as a featured image. Now I'll put an excerpt. So this will be the excerpt of this post, and you can choose a category for it and tags for it. I'll simply publish. Now we entered all the data, including the ACF field, all by using the Gutenberg interface, right? So let's view our post. And given that you didn't design any other template, the template that you specify or the design that you specify here will be applied to the post. And you can see that now if I open my post, you can see it gets the featured image, the gravatar, the title, and the metadata, excerpt, and the inner section. The inner section, you can see that it gets the color from the dynamic color field that I picked and all the custom field data. So basically I published a post using Gutenberg interface, but since I defined a template using Elementor Pro's theme builder, you can quite easily retrieve it without writing any code. Now if you had to do this without Elementor Pro, you would have to tweak your single templates and put some code in it, but thanks to Elementor Pro, this is a huge deal. You can just pull in Elementor Pro ACF fields just with click of a button. Cool, isn't it? And that's the reason why you should get Elementor Pro. If you don't have it, you can get it from the link in the description. Anyway, so this is how you work with ACF field. Pull it into your post designs or maybe into your templates, theme builder templates, right? Now, this is not just it. There's more to ACF than just Elementor Pro can do. Apart from Elementor Pro, obviously, since this is ACF and since this is WordPress standard, you get to use it in a lot of powerful widgets. One such widget is Unlimited Elements for Elementor, which lets you create your own widgets. It's a free download from WordPress repo, so you can head over to plugins and search for Unlimited Elements and install and activate it. And you can see that there are a lot of amazing widgets for free and few pro widgets. You can get the free version from WordPress repo and the pro version. I'll leave a link to pro in the link description below. So I'll do one thing. I'll click on the product boxes category. I'll install this product box widget. You can preview it. It's a free download and a free widget. I'll just click on install. Now once you install it, you can double click to edit the HTML, CSS and JavaScript of the widget. And here you can have an option to pick the dynamic content. So you can click on yes, and the demo post will be our new ACF post. So I'll type new ACF. This is the post, and I'll pick I want to use the custom fields. I'll simply update this. Now you can replace all these attributes with the attributes of the custom fields or the custom fields themselves. So these things in the flower braces, you can replace them with custom fields. So there are a lot of things over here. So background, right? You can pick instead of this attribute, you can scroll down till you see current post. You can click on show all fields, and anything that has current post .cf is a custom field. CF stands for custom field. So I'll replace this background with a custom field image. So I'll scroll down and it's this fave, right? Fave is the name of the custom field image. I'll click that and the background attribute is replaced with that. So that's great. Or let's actually replace this one topic URL with our fave image. I'll select this. I'll click on save. So instead of an image randomly that it picks, you can actually let it pick a dynamic image. And the title, I'll replace the title attribute with another custom field, and this time it will be the name, right? And the link of the button, well, you can replace the link. You can also replace the button text. I'll replace the link with our link attribute. So we have a link attribute over here, CF and link, it's this one. I'll replace that. I'll update this. Now I'll drag this widget into the custom field design, right? Or the Elementor design that we have for our post type or single post type. But before that, since we created this widget right now, I have to reload this page so that it pulls that widget that we just created, or you can close it and reopen it using Elementor interface. And I'll scroll down. I see the product box, click and drag it, and you can see that it replaces all the fields with the custom field data. So the image, it's actually picking the image of the custom field, and the name, it pulled the name, and the button, well, the button link will be the URL whatever you put. I'll click on update. So this widget is added to our post design. Let's actually update the post itself. I'll click on edit post. I think we don't have the link field for this post. I'll just fill the link field for this post as well. So I'll say apple.com. Now we just created a widget, edited its fields, and we made all of those fields dynamic, right? Update. Now I'll view my post, and the post will also have the widget because we just made it a part of the design, and that's how you use widgets with custom fields. Scroll down and there's our widget. Now if I click on this button, I'm taken to the URL field, right? apple.com is the URL that I entered, and I'm actually taken to that when I click on that. And this image is not any other image, and this is the text that I just entered, right? The first name, and it's getting pulled here. You can change this to anything, right? You can change this to any text, or you can actually replace this with any custom field. So working with unlimited elements and ACF is that easy. All you need to do is to pick a sample post, and all your custom fields show up in this format. You have to remember that CF stands for custom field, and you have to replace custom fields of appropriate data. So instead of this color, you can replace it with a color field, and so on. Of course, it's the fave color field is different, it's select type. Anyway, right, you basically got how to replace static data, or basically put any custom field into unlimited elements. Now I told you that Elementor cannot pull relational data, right? So in custom fields, there's another kind of field called relational fields. So if I go back to our field group, I'll click on edit, I'll click on add field, and under field type, there's something called relational, right? So a link, post type, post page link, relationship, and stuff like that. Well, these are complex data that Elementor Pro cannot handle. And in order to do that, you can actually work with the relational fields and basically all the custom fields with a powerful plugin for Elementor called Dynamic Content for Elementor. So let's say I pick a relation field, and basically a relation field will let you pick related posts or basically any post types. So you can see that it lets me pick all post types, or if you want to pick or limit it to particular post type, you can do it. Now relational fields let you do complex stuff. So let's say the author, while composing the post, he can pick his favorite posts. Or let's say the author is writing a review, he can pick his favorite products from your WooCommerce products list, right? And there are a ton of applications to it. We'll discuss relations, ACF relational fields in a separate video, but I'll just show you how it works. So you just click on add field. Let's call it fave posts. So I just want to pick my favorite posts from my database. So under the type, you have to choose relational, and I'll choose post object. And from here, I can filter the post type. So I just want the author to just choose the post, his favorite posts. You can also let him or filter it by taxonomies, but I'll leave it as is. You can also let him pick multiple values, and you can then get all those values and display in Elementor templates using Dynamic Content plugin. Like I said, there's no native Elementor Pro support to this, and you need Dynamic Content plugin for it. So I just chose multiple values, and I'll update this field. Now the field group is updated. Now I'll just click on one of the posts just to add the relational data or whatever. I'll scroll down, and here I'll just click, and I'll choose all the posts that I want. So I'll just choose couple of posts, maybe this one. So I just chose 3 posts, right? Updated it. Now that's great. Now in my theme builder template, I just want to show these posts in a proper way. So if you have dynamic installed, you'll have a lot of dynamic widgets, and one of them is ACF relation field. Just click and drag it, and it will ask you to pick the field. We have to refresh this page because we just added the field group and we didn't reload the page. So once we reload the page, it will load the newly created relational field, which is this post. It's basically returning posts, and we have to get those posts and display it graphically in our interface. So I'll just click on this. I'll click on select field, and you can see it now gets that newly created relational field. I'll just click on that, and it shows as a list of it. Now you can obviously change this. So you can change it to text, and you can see how that looks like. Even better, you can change the render mode of it. So you can maybe render it as tabs. So each post will have tabs in it, right? See that? So each post render mode we chose text, and that each post will have title, thumbnail, and excerpt, and read more button that will take to the post, and the render mode we chose as tabs. So that's really neat, right? So just click on it, and that's really handy. You can also change it to accordions. I'll just change it to this, and now just like that. So user can pick posts dynamically, and he can pick it, and he can show all those posts in the form of an accordion or a grid or maybe tabs or whatever, and you can see how powerful that is, right? So while composing the post, the author can pick his posts. Well, it applies to any post type. So let's say author is writing a review about a product on your WooCommerce store. He can pick his favorite products on your store. So he can actually filter out from the products post type, and you can then display author's favorite products in the form of a grid or however you like. So this is how you use ACF with Elementor Pro, unlimited elements, and dynamic content plugin. And in addition to relational fields, you obviously can pull in normal ACF fields as well. So the regular ACF fields. So for relational fields, you need this. For normal ACF fields, you just drag this ACF fields button, and you choose the field that you want, and the data is displayed just like that. Again, you format it like any other Elementor widget, right? You click on text, you maybe change the typography and stuff like that, and all that, right? So basically, so this is how you work with ACF in WordPress without even writing a single piece of code, all by using Elementor Pro, unlimited elements, and dynamic content plugin. And of course, you can also get these ACF fields. There are tons of plugins, free plugins compatible with ACF. Actually, ACF fields are also compatible with most of the WordPress plugins. So you can even use them with WP forms, right? Or you can even use them with Jet Engine, which is a plugin of its own. It can build custom fields, custom post types, which we'll discuss later. But that's it for now. Hope you guys got what ACF can do and how powerful this is. You can make use of this. This is just the part one of ACF. We didn't build our own post type. It's pretty similar to what we did now. In the next part, we'll build our post type, add custom fields to it, and design it using Elementor Pro. Stay tuned for that. That's it for now. Hopefully you got a brief overview of ACF. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.